Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Improve Debate's Impact. This is the show where we believe that debate education isn't just about looking at what the world champion does, but what people around the world champion do, because they make them possible. And today I am with someone who has cultivated the hearts and minds of many a young debater from North Macedonia. I speak with Vangel Gorgiev. Vangel, hello!
Hi Dan, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. How are you? You are in your
I
final weeks, right? If in North Macedonia, you're about to come to the Netherlands, so you're closing off time there.
well, yes, I guess by the time this goes live, I'll probably be there. Yes, it is one of my final weeks, and I'm really glad that we had this time to make a podcast and maybe tell more people about debate.
Yes, perfect.
So
So tell me a little bit about your background. Now, I know, of course, what you will do at the Youth Educational Forum YEF in North Macedonia, where you are their star debate coach. But tell me a little bit more about how did you get into this? What is it that you do at YEF and so on?
All right. Hi everyone. My name is Vangel. I am a debate trainer for a couple of years now. I've been in the debate society in North Macedonia for around 8 years now. The debate society in Macedonia, it is under the youth non-governmental organization called Youth Educational Forum, and we are the biggest debate society in our country, and I think the only debate society in our country. We have I think the debate program has started even with the beginning of youth educational forum, so for more than 20 years now. We have dealt with competitive debate, but also with other different youth related issues, but we mainly focus on debate. I Today primarily focus on how to teach new students competitive debate. So that is my primary focus within the debate society in our country.
Very cool. So you yourself started out as a debater, right? So how did you make the jump up from being a debater to becoming a coach?
Well, interesting question. So I started a debate while I was in my last years of high school. So in our country, there's like a, let's say, like a grading scale which you have to climb up in order to come to a position where you can actually teach someone who is joining the debate society. So every student, as well as myself when I was younger, starts with the first level of debate, and you have to then complete the first level, which usually correlates with one academic year. Starts with September, ends around June, and once you finish the first year, like the beginner level, let's say, you move on to the advanced level. Then you learn more about the debate, and then your third year is actually the year where you become an assistant to someone who is a debate trainer and who is more experienced. After you finish the third level of being like an assistant to someone, you get a chance to go on a training of trainers, which I guess we will cover more later. And if you pass that point, then you will have the chance to be a debate trainer and have your own club.
That sounds like a lot of levers you have to go through. What inspired you to take that route? Why did you want to like get towards all these levers, join that trainer and become a trainer?
Well, interesting question. I guess I was primarily driven to this society because of the people who gather in this kind of environment. I was very intellectually stimulated when I met with these people, and I wanted to hang out more and more with these people. I wanted to see and see how they think. Also, maybe like question their argumentation, their thought process, and it felt like a community that I haven't met before, and it felt so interesting that I needed to stay included in that community and be part of it.
Wonderful. As an experienced trainer, you have, of course, now seen a lot of young debaters enter into the clubs. What are the reasons that they want to join debates in North Macedonia? What's in it for them when they join it?
Well, usually in our country we have a very I guess program that focuses on high school students. We are still developing like a university program for university students. However, we primarily focus on high school students. And usually at that age, while they're in high school, they feel the need to maybe strongly develop their personal skills, maybe vocational written skills. They want to be part of something that their friends are part of, and usually that is those are one of the, I guess, primarily motives why someone would like to join the debate club. They either find interesting to debate on great motions or some interesting motions, but also they want to be part of the society and see what it's all about. I guess that will be like the main motive behind why someone will join in our debate society.
Great. So describe that society that they entered then a little bit for me. So what does a debate club look like in North Macedonia? How regularly do they meet? What do they do? What kind of topic do they discuss?
All right, so I guess we're a very big and diverging society, because there will be people from, I guess, ages as young as 14 to ages of 30 and more and older. So all of us are part of the debate society. And usually the older people, maybe someone who is, I guess I would say 18 and above, would probably qualify in the range of a debate trainer. And usually the younger ones are the students. We as a debate society try to not be just centered in the capital of North Macedonia, which is Skopje, but also focus on the whole territory. So we have, as a debate society, debate clubs in different cities in our country. And by that means we try to have like approximately 10 to 15 clubs, foster around 30 to 40 students at the beginning, but then later on, as students for different reasons lose interests, they fall on, I guess, approximately 15 people or 10 to 15 people per club. So that is like the ratio of how we disperse between cities and clubs. We mainly have more clubs in the capital, Skopje, but we try to connect with other cities as well. So, but not just other cities. We connect on, I guess, international level, because we occasionally have meetings and trainings with, especially with you and Netherlands, and I guess all around Europe. So it's not just on national level.
Fantastic. So how do these 30 to 40 people join the debate club? How do they know about this, and how do you make them feel welcomed?
Well, interesting question. So so the program officially starts September, maybe October, but we start in August, because we feel the need that we need to reach as many people as possible from the beginning, and we usually do that through high schools in our country. However, in order to do that, you have to first get like a piece of paper that establishes your program as viable under the Ministry of Education and Science in our country. So we get every year we get an approval from the ministry that they say, oh, their program is all right, students can join them. And we also ask for permission to enter high schools and present our programs. So after we get that permission, we, on a voluntary basis, all of the debate, I guess, people who are in our society go to high schools, and we give I would say like a 5-minute pitch to every class that they have in the high school. We ask who wants to join, and then at the beginning there's like a huge numbers of people who want to join, because everyone wants to see and know what that is about. And then depending on the interest of the students, the groups might get smaller, because it's not like something that is like fits for everyone, but it is more like tailored to the people who are interested in learning competitive debate skills.
Okay, then I'm very curious to hear what are the features of this 5-minute pitch of yours that manages to draw in such a large crowd.
Well, usually, so the interesting thing is that once we getting in front of a classroom, we promote not just debate, but we promote a few other programs. But we try to focus like on a 5 minutes, and we tell them like who we are, what we're representing, and what benefits will the students get. And those are like the three main things, and we try to get their information. Like I think it is very important to get their like information, like their email, their phone, so we can contact them and see if by the start of the program they're still interested in that or not. So that is
Okay.
usually how it happens.
So it's like a long process. You need to warm them up a little bit. So there's also that follow-up call then. So do you like individually call each interested student and they say, hey, there's this thing going on next week? Are you coming?
Exactly. Absolutely. So at the beginning, like we will try to make the clubs like we settle like who will be a trainer and an assistant in, let's say, who will teach in Saturday at that time slot. So after we make all the clubs, then we individually call every student and ask them like what works for you, like what time works for you, what day works for you. And once they decide, they can officially go on the first meeting when that debate club will start with the teachings, and they can see whether they like what we're representing or not.
I like this idea because it's sort of a thinking around, right? So it's not like we facilitate something for you, but like we want you to tell us what it is that we need to facilitate, and that's how you start out and try to get more people in. So I think that's very interesting. So then, like, of course, we've had the pitch, we've had the first coaching call. They might have like looked up some information on the internet. They're there on that first session, and then I always wonder like, what can we do in that first session? Because there's so much, of course, that they need to teach. And I've also seen so many different approaches. When I went to my university debate club, they held a very long lecture of like an hour where they went through like all the things that you need to do. What is the debate format rules? What is like the argument and how you make arguments, that sort of thing. I've been to high school clubs where they just, practiced a few games. The people like trainings with an external trainer who gives in and gives a couple of workshops thing, and all of it on different things. Like argumentation seems to be one thing, what the debate format is, so people create like games. What do you do, and why do you make the decision to do that thing?
Maybe I should give a side note first about how we try to attract people before I move to this question, because I feel like it is very important to know, like to mention that for people who are starting their debate clubs, that we try also like online recruitation, like join our club, but also like hands-on going to high schools. And the outcome is usually 90% of the students will come from like eye-to-eye presentation in high schools, and only 10% will come from online registration. So it is hugely, like there's a huge difference, and I highly recommend like going and meeting people and doing exactly that. But when it comes to like the first meeting, so you call them, they know what time they have to show up for the first time meeting, and at that first meeting we try to start exactly at the right time, and we primarily focus on a couple of things. Like we try to introduce ourselves, then we try to introduce a place where they are, because we try to think that the people who are coming in our debate clubs are high school students who are still minors and still don't know like how things work. Like especially when you mentioned on non-governmental organizations, they're still maybe not acquainted with that. So we try to like explain what is a youth educational forum and what is this place that they come. What do we teach? Like what is the program and what are the benefits for them? But we do this usually like we have a time slot of 2 hours, and we do this in the, I guess, first 45 minutes. And it helps a lot because they try to understand who we are, but we represent them like ourselves, like the trainers, the assistants. And usually the assistants are someone who are still in high school, so they can be like the bridge between us, the older people who are teaching debate, because we have like, let's say, more experience. But also the students can feel more comfortable with the assistants who are still in high school. And we try to introduce ourselves, and then we talk about more about Youth Educational Forum and the debate program. And then we try to give a space for each and every individual person who is in that room to introduce themselves. And well, sometimes 40 or 50 people will be in the room. We try to give them space so everyone can state their name. And we try to encourage them to say something specific about them, because it is, I guess for me, it is very challenging to remember every single name after the first meeting. So I try to ask them like to tell their name, and also say something very, very specific about them, or maybe something very random about them. And usually then people open up and tell all kind of random shit about them. And at that point, they start bonding between each other, because someone will be like, oh, I like this movie, and someone else in the room will jump on that lead and will start introducing themselves, and maybe they will make a connection. And as a last thing that we do in the first session is we try to make a, like, we always go with one single game. Like, I would say it is like a warm-up game, where you actually have to argument. The game is called, I guess there's a different versions of this game, but we usually refer it as the one spot at the spaceship game, where you divide every like all the students in 4 or 5 groups, and you tell them, all right, you're this group, we'll give you each one of you can like each group can have like one piece of paper, where on the paper is written a name of a celebrity, usually including a president, a reality star, some crazy Balkan singer, and maybe, like, let's say some activists. So like a different mix of people. And we tell them, like, this is your person, and there's only one spot on the spaceship. Like, you have 5 minutes to think how will you defend this person, and then you will publicly tell us why this person deserves to go on the spaceship and not the other person. And every group has the chance, but then after everyone presents their argument why their person has to go on the spaceship, then there's time for rebuttal, and then they start rebuttaling, like, and try to, I would say, like, undermining activists, why, like, maybe some reality stars deserve to go on the spaceship more than I would say, like, someone who fights for freedom and liberty.
Who is the craziest person who's ever made it on a spaceship?
Well, usually, like, a safe bet will always be to, in order to have like a active and rigorous discussion, it is always a safe bet to include someone as like maybe outrageous as the Kardashians. Even though I wouldn't say that they're outrageous in today's standards, but if you, like, let's say you put Greta Thunberg and maybe the Kim Kardashian, like, there's different arguments that you can make about these two people. So it comes like as a very interesting first discussion. I wouldn't say it's a debate, but it's a very good discussion into what comes next after the first meeting.
Okay, I really like that approach, because it like allows them to argue, but they don't yet have to do the very formal things. We don't need to do formal theories. So I think that's very good. Have you ever collected like reports on what the kids find after the class? Do they tell you they're super excited or interested, or do they say they have some concerns afterwards?
Oh, yes, we usually always try to ask them, like, do they have any specific questions about the program? Because we expect that not everyone will be hands-on 100% interested in what we are as a debate society, what we like, that we passionately feel love for competitive debate. So we try to understand, like, what are some of the reasons why someone would not like to join us, or maybe what can we do to improve. And we try to include them with we try to ask them, like, for specific recommendations that we have to do. And this usually happens when we try to include some, we have like empty slots for sessions that like the students will design. Like, they will be like, we want to have, let's say, movie night with discussion, but we want this specific movie to be discussed. And at the end of the year, we also have like a questionnaire for what should be improved for the next like whole academic debate year.
Fantastic. And I imagine therefore you're also able to say that this kind of like debate opening is the result of a large amount of tinkering around the edges, and you've definitely like learned from previous experiences to come to this format. I think it's very good. I'm then curious, what happens after that? So after the first session, like how are you structuring your debate club? Is there a goal you're working towards? Are there certain key lessons that have to be included?
So we usually try to structure the whole academic debate here into two segments. The first spanning from September till December, and then from January to I would say June, the second one. In the first, I would say semester, even though it's not like a semester, we usually start with the basic, like what is debate, what is an argument, what is reply, format, role of a speaker, structure, and we finish in December with the beginners tournament. So every beginner who starts will in December go on a like beginners tournament on a national level. And then starting from they have like a winter break in January, and then at the end of January from we start with more I would say more not harder, but I guess more complex lessons that you have to teach about debate. Like how do you effectively build a, a opposition case, or maybe how do you acknowledge some logical fallacies in someone's speech. And those are like the topic we try to cover in the second semester. And then we end in May with a national debate tournament for all high school students. So regardless whether you're first or second year or assistant, everyone goes in the national debate tournament. And we officially finish in June, where we have a very interesting tournament which we called mixed term tournament. So the mixed team tournament is a tournament where you mix an experienced tutor with an assistant and a student, and they are one team that goes against another team of the same caliber. So it is, and usually it is not on like on a, I would say, a very hands-on. I'm trying to find the correct word, but it is usually about topics that you wouldn't find on a normal tournaments. Like we usually try to debate whether I guess Santa Claus can be a woman or a man, whether like someone will go to the dark side to get the cookie.
Yeah, it's a bit
And
like
the whole
humorous
point of that
sci-fi.
is exactly, but you cannot debate the exact meaning. Like you cannot discuss whether Santa is woman or man. You have to then give a further elaboration of that topic. So it's like an open thesis that you have to give a specific elaboration on that. So if you're trying to discuss whether someone will go to the dark side to get the cookie, you have to maybe let's say someone will I guess give up of their life today and maybe freeze just so they can live 100 years in the future if that technology is possible. And usually those topics are the most interesting.
So what then are the challenges that mean that some of those kids don't make it towards that club? You mentioned that could be for a wide variety of reasons, but are there some of them that are more in your control and some of them that are generally difficult? What have you been trying to do to try and retain the group of 30, 40?
Well, usually we found that it is not very reliable to hold the notion that you will have 30 or 40 very hands-on interest in people till the end of the year. Like usually since we're dealing with high school students, they have many I would say opportunities nowadays. Like they can join different clubs, they can join different activities. So we try to start with a big quantity, but then focus more on the quality. So we end up with more or less 10 people who really want to be part of the debate society. And we usually try to communicate with them each week. We have like our separate, let's say, social media group, even though social media has been so challenging with newer generations, because I feel like there's like a huge divide between I guess older generations who even focus more on Facebook and Instagram, while younger generations don't even have like Facebook or Messenger, and they want to maybe communicate on Instagram, which is very confusing when you want to send someone a file about something about debate on Instagram. and usually we try to find a good communication between them, and the assistants, who usually are high school students, are very good in this whole area, because they can connect more easily with the students, because they're the same age. They know how they think, like not just how they do things, but like what makes them go, and what makes them maybe responsive to things. And usually that is like our point of our bridge point, like the assistance. But we try to maybe from a couple of months to rediscover whether someone who decided maybe a few months prior to that point to drop off the debate society, we try to communicate them once again, but usually through social media, because we don't want to confront them, let's say, on calling them on the phone, but rather like on social media. Hey, like, we are still going with the debate club. Do you maybe still have interest in this? And if they're not interested, then we just go along, and maybe they will want to join us maybe some another year, which usually happens. Like maybe sometimes they usually join us the next year.
I think this actually is a very interesting approach. And I mean, I consider myself to be quite young, but I am nearing the wrong side of 20, and I'm aware that some 14-year-olds do find me ancient. So actually using assistant coaches to try and help get the system set up and really make the peer coaching happen, that sounds like a very clever move. But I also imagine that that means that there's quite a large amount of responsibility foisted on the coach and on the assistant coaches. And how does it feel for them to take those responsibilities to start teaching other people to maybe, take that level of like trust that a teacher brings towards the table, and that students like require a teacher to have? How do you support your coaches in your organization?
Well, yeah, that is, I guess, a lot to unpack. Very, very challenging question. Uh, it is a challenging process throughout the whole year. Usually, in every year, every debate club has in proximity two experienced debate trainers, and they each, so not each, but as a debate club, get 1 to 2 assistants. And we try to juggle everything between the two more experienced debate trainers. We usually are the ones who are giving the lectures. However, I don't want to undermine the role of the assistants. Like, even though they are our way towards more greatly understand the students, we try to incorporate them in the whole process. Like, they are there with us to contact the students. We give them a few slots during the year to teach actually the students. Like, they have like their own independent whole independent time slots where they can be the leading teacher on a specific like topic. So we try to encourage them in that way, but also give them like responsibilities. For instance, when we go on a debate tournament, you have like 3 or 4 teams that are competing. We try to divide. Like, we say, all right, so there's like too many students, so they will each want our attention, like maybe with arguments, maybe with encouragements. Like, I cannot even remember how many times I've given a pep talk to students to encourage them before a debate. But we try to divide this between our assistants as well. Like, we tell them, like, step into the role of a debate tutor and be like what they want to see of you as a debate tutor. So you have like the whole responsibility, like, of all the teams, like, because we usually take more roles once the debate tournament comes. Like, you will usually maybe be a CA, or you will be an equity. So we try to give them whole tutoring responsibility also to the assistants. So I guess there's like a lot to go. But in order to then not just work properly on the debate club level, but also like on the whole debate society, we feel that we need to have like more great communication and cohesiveness between the debate trainers, because usually these are people who will probably meet once or twice a month when we have like a debate society meeting. But you have like debate tutors from all over the country, like in different cities. And we felt that our communication is very weak at points. And last year we came up as a debate society with a system which we now call like a mentor system, where a less experienced debate tutor from a more rural city who is now beginning to just beginning to become a debate tutor is linked with a debate tutor from the capital, because usually in the capital there's like more experienced students, because usually there's universities are there and they go to university and everyone is concentrated in the capital. So we try to link like an experience with less experienced tutor, and they have like the obligation to contact each other each week, because we figured out that the less experienced trainers and tutors are usually, I wouldn't say ashamed, but they don't feel brave enough or maybe encouraged enough to maybe ask some questions about something that they feel that is confusing. They don't know. Maybe they feel like someone will judge them because they don't know how to explain something. And we figure that if we need to overcome this, we have to make like you have to have like a mandatory call once per week to see whether your, let's say, your mentor body is fine with maybe with the lecture that they have to give it each week, with some argumentation. Maybe they need an explanation of a specific topic. And we figure out that this is like a great way to even bring closer people, and also like maybe even encourage their approach when tutoring, like building up the whole debate society, not just as a debate club specifically, but like the whole debate society. So we try to contact each other like with random debate tutors that you are assigned at the beginning of the year, and then you contact them each week through the whole year.
Yeah, for me, this really answers an important piece of the puzzle. So what we often tend to do at the International Debate Education Association is we believe that our trainers either already have, or they get through like the first training, they get the knowledge about debating, right? Like how to make an argument, how to make a speech, what are like the strategic calls you need to make into a debate, how can you make it stylistic, formats, all of those things. And then what we try to add up and train a trainer is we think, okay, great, so you know debating, but now you need to know training. And then we mostly think that that means how do you work with a group? What are like the learning goals for the students? How can you make sure that you work effectively with a group and make everyone feel welcomed? How can you sustain that people keep learning? But all of that is like, I think, secondary to what you didn't highlight is some of the real things that you need to challenge. Like how can you make sure that people feel motivated, stay like attached to it? So how do you create the kind of one-on-one coaching interactions and make sure that that is pedagogically sound and make people feel want to improve? I think that's an incredibly sound idea. That sounds very wonderful indeed. Now, do you feel like this approach is working? Are there any like best practices that you're willing to share as to how this means that like coaches are becoming better in North Macedonia?
Well, yes, absolutely. Like this is definitely a training in the motion. Like it's happening throughout the whole year, because every debate trainer that is in a position to train other people, they have already undergone like a training for trainers, like a specific 2-day or 3-day walk through like what they have to do in order to be a good debate trainer. But we felt like that doesn't cover up like what it is to be a debate trainer. So I guess 2 or 3 days will now make you will only give you the basics. So we figured out like we have to expand this program, and that's why we build this mentor system, and it goes throughout the whole year. And we figure out that not just it brings a bigger connection between the debate society, but also it encourages a lot of people to ask questions, to get involved in different activities, not just in the debate society, but also in the youth sector. And another point is that we've seen that most of these new debate trainers have actually came up with new ideas. Like I remember just a few months ago, one of our new debate trainers from a different city, not the capital, she had the idea of giving let's say a short public debate to elementary school students who are in their final year, who will from the next year become high school students. And we've never thought about this, even though it's like such a simple idea. And she she got in contact with the elementary school in her local area, and she explained the debate society. So maybe someone who will start now from September will be interested in that. So we seen that there's like a great interest in like more ideas. But there's like apart from that, there's also I would say some flaws in this whole system, because no one is at the top of the system, so no one controls whether you actually make the phone call each week, or maybe I mean, it doesn't have to be a phone call. It can be like I guess, messaging on Insta or on Messenger. But no one is at the top who controls whether you made that specific contact throughout each week. So it all depends whether each debate tutor will like find the obligation that they actually have to go through this, and to see that this is for the benefit of the whole debate society. But usually, sometimes even happens that maybe you will forget, or you will not establish such a good communication. So I wouldn't say that it functions like 100%, but it is very, I would say, moving into the great direction that we want to especially build up on better communication in our society.
So you also mentioned that some debate clubs come through like debate societies, they self-perpetuate, the kids train each other. What is the secret behind your most successful debate societies? What do they do differently than the other ones? And what can we all learn from them?
Well, usually what we've came to see that usually the people who are more, I would say, not hands-on, working relentlessly and hard with their students. They send them, like you would see, like in such small things, like they would send them extra links to read on something that is happening globally, or maybe something that is happening nationally that they have to read through, so that maybe that will come up in some tournament. Usually those kind of assistants and debate trainers that are more proactive in their approach as a debate trainers, not just teaching the lectures, but establishing a greater professional link with the students. Usually they have like better results on tournaments. Like, but apart from the professional aspect, it also there's difference between debate clubs regarding like how they build their personal, I would say, uh, personal friendly relations. Like you can see different aspects. Like this is by the far most visible when we go on tournaments. Like usually the tutors and the assistants who were more proactive with their debate club will have better results, but not just like better results who will win the tournament or who will get the most points in the tournament, but you will see the energy of a certain groups. Like you will see that they want to hang out as a group regardless of whether there's a debate tournament or not. They would like to hang out in their free time. They usually want to hang out and be around more different this kind of youth activities in youth educational forum. They engage in different activities. So usually I guess the visible effect comes later on. Like it is definitely not visible from the start. But I guess everything happens later on with tournaments and how they're progressing into more proactive citizens and youth advocates.
Fantastic. Maybe as a final question, what's like the biggest thing you've learned as a coach yourself?
Well, I guess the best thing is I guess a few things. So usually I try to not interrupt anyone while they're speaking, even though they might have like a hazardous line of thinking, and that might be maybe even harmful for the environment at that specific moment in relation to what you're trying to teach. Not like with the environment someone is being offensive, but rather like you're trying to teach about argumentation and someone tries to jump in and talk about let's say role of the speaker. When someone is very disruptive, I try to maybe understand their point of like view, like where is that coming from, and not like specifically, not like shut them down, but try to understand why they feel the need to do that. And the second thing that I've learned is that it is not very good to try to be like the students. Like you have to own up your age. You don't have to be like the students. You try to understand them, but not specifically uh, act like them. Like you don't, in order to be friends with them, you don't have to be you don't have to try to use their let's say a way of speaking and way of acting. Usually they will have I would say more respect and more friendly relation with you if they both know that you try to be friends with them, but that you sometimes don't feel the need to do the exact same things that they usually find acceptable because of their age range, because usually we are different. Like maybe sometimes we will range in 6 or 7 generations, and I guess that's very different in today's criteria.
Okay, thank you very much. If people want to like learn more about the work YEF does, or even want to learn more about how to set up their own debate club or become a coach, could you point them towards some resources?
Yes. We have our own website. It is mof.mk. That is mof.mk. Usually you will find there everything about the debate. We're on social media. You will find us on Facebook, Instagram as Youth Educational Forum. I guess you will find a lot of information and emails there that you can reach someone from the debate program. And if anyone has any specific questions, or maybe they just want to have a conversation about all this ideas and maybe propose something, I encourage them to write to us, and maybe we can create something new, I guess.
Thanks. Long may debate in North Macedonia and abroad indeed improve, also thanks to your hard work. Thank you very much, Vangel, for being on this podcast.
Oh, my pleasure. And I have to thank you because you have helped like tremendously throughout the past years with building our debate society. You have been, I would say, crucial part, especially when it comes to training of trainers. Great thanks to that, and it is still my pleasure to be on this podcast.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
It was